The non-stop radio show.
Non-stop hip-hop.
The hottest underground hip-hop and R&B show on this side of the net.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Once again, it's your boy EMillio EgBar. And I would like to say thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to tune into tonight's presentation as EJP Entertainment presents the Artist Spotlight. You already know what it is. We at the point of our show where we are joined by tonight's special guest. But before we do so, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you go follow us on IG at EJP_Entertainment to stay up to date with everything related to EJP Entertainment. And with that said, folks, we have hip-hop royalty here in the house, at least to me. You know what I'm saying? We got hip-hop royalty in the house here tonight. We got a man that's been working in the music industry with some of the titans in the industry right now, folks. So with that being said, let's get to it. Without further ado, let's welcome to the show Haas G, aka Fantom of The Beat. Yo, Fantom, what's good, brother? How's everything? And welcome.
Oh man, I appreciate you. Thank you. And yeah, I'm very appreciative, and I thank you for the welcome. And we here to just get down to square biz. So let's get it. Let's go. A little quiet is cut for all of y'all out there. This interview was a long time in the making because I was supposed to have done this interview back in 2018, but I got stricken with pneumonia, wasn't able to do it. But we here today. It's a different story, and now let's get to it. But with that being said, we always like to give our special guests the opportunity to, give a little backstory about themselves to the listeners. So with that being said, brother, the floor is all yours. Take it away, man. I mean, you know how they say we age like fine wine, you know what I mean? Even the situations age like that. So that being said, it wasn't the right time to do the interview back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So now we doing it, and now we're going to get it in. But, there's a lot of people out there. Some are refined, some know, some don't know. You know what I mean? But I hail from a group called U.M.Cs. We started out in 1991. I love to say this part, and it's definitely acclaimed, and it's definitely solidified, and it's backed up. We were the first commercial rap group from Staten Island. So UMCs, we did what we had to do, giving much light to Force MCs, you know what I mean, who were really, really the first that really came out representing the music, representing the style, representing all of that. But UMCs, 91, Blue Cheese, One to Grow On. Some of y'all might know me, some of y'all might not. I mean, I could just tell you right now, you go look at Martin, you see me hanging around Martin's place, you know what I mean? And when I say Martin, I'm talking about the comedian, I'm talking about the show, I'm talking about, you see our poster, lodged in there. So the whole thing is, we did our stint from the beginning, and we still here now, ready to do what we got to do. You know what I mean? And
and one thing I bet you a lot of people out there doesn't know, and probably will be a shock when they hear this, but Martin Lawrence is actually the cousin of Play. And he spent some time out here in New York, and particularly in Queens and all that stuff like that. So that's dope to even hear because, looking at the setup, for, the show and everything like that, you see he had a whole lot of different artifacts, most notably the picture from, Do the Right Thing posted up on the wall and everything. But I did not know that they had, artifacts from UMCs as well on that set as well. So that's dope right there, man. How do you feel about that, as you look back at that situation?
Oh, that was etched in stone. Like, yeah, like you can't, every episode that comes on, except for the mad late episodes, but from the beginning all the way to like, I would want to say the, third season or whatever, UMC's poster is on the wall. UMC's poster is on the radio station wall. You know what I mean? That was a monumental, situation. It's like, and yeah, he was, who was it? Kid's cousin?
Nah, Play.
Play's cousin. But you know, the way that transpired, it was crazy because at the time we was a new group coming out. Mm-hmm. Now, if everybody really want to know the science, you got to think about it. And if you're on a business minded level, you would really be able to see the progression. So guess what was going on at that time? There was the new gear happening at the time, right? Mm-hmm. So you had your cross colors, right? Mm-hmm. You had your record labels trying to bring out new groups. You had your native tongues. You had your, you know, the I don't want to say African, but what was the effect back then? It was just being aware, being conscious. You know what I mean? And all of that. So then you had In Living Color. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? All at the same time. Def Jam, Comedy Jam, all at the same time.
Oh man.
But the gear, BET, you know what I mean? MTV back then, they was all focused on rap, you know what I mean? And the new gear. So if you look at Martin Lawrence's show, all it did was highlight a whole bunch of the new, you know, gear that was coming out. Mm-hmm. And the facade, not facade, but the facade, the whole situation of awareness and, you know, these are the dope new artists coming through. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So of course, when Martin was doing his jokes or when Martin was, you know, doing his live or, you know, doing the show, everything, you know, accumulated around all of that movement. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it would be fit, you know, for him to have, okay, who's a hot group out right now? Oh, let's take that U.M.C's poster and put it in here. Let's take that Public Enemy poster and put it in here. You know what I mean? Let's make the show look right. Let's wear the same gear that everybody is wearing. Look at everybody's gear in the show. All their gear was consistent with all the gear that was out at the time.
Oh yeah, man, you bring me back so much to my childhood growing up watching Martin and all the dope programming that Fox had on their station at that time. And that was one of the good things that, you know, often gets overlooked when we think about, you know, shows from that era, because, you know, you just highlighted the fact that Martin Lawrence and, you know, his show Martin highlighted, you know, a lot of the new things that was coming out as far as like gear, the hottest new artists and stuff like that. Then you move on to Living Single, where they was doing the same, and then New York Undercover. You know, they was bringing on every show. They had a brand new artist on there, brand new group or whatever. So like back in them days, they really highlighted and shed light on a lot of the dope groups and individuals that was really moving and shaking out here in the music industry.
Well, it was music industry. And it was the new actors, and it was the new comedians. All of it was hand in hand. Not too far from even yourself right now. You're the new, you know, you're the new level of publicity. You're the new, you know, platform. Guess what? You gotta interview, you know, a lot of the generic things that's going on, you know what I mean? To make sure that your show gets the substance that it really needs, so that way it goes further. You understand what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with being, you know, jaded or segregated, or it's just a matter of what's happening now and what do we need to promote. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, just because I'm from 91 don't mean that I'm already present in 2022, 2023 already. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So we on point. And that's all they were doing, making sure that the world sees what the transition was, what the feeling is, what we need to be doing, what we have a grasp on, and what we love. And let's put it out to the world and hope that the world grasp it the way we're putting it out there creatively.
Absolutely, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. And here on this platform, we do like to, I don't want to say specialize, but we do like to, roll out the red carpet for a lot of the new up and coming acts. Because when I first started, with this platform, one of the things that I had in mind was the Stretching by Beto show. Like you didn't feel like you wasn't popping in the industry at that time unless you hit his show. And like I wanted to be one of those type of platforms as well. But however, with that being said, we still like to acknowledge and we still like to, give our flowers, to legends like yourself that I consider you a legend, paving the way for us in this whole industry that we enjoy today and whatnot, because a lot of people, especially now in this era, they think it's cool to be disrespectful to those who paved the way for us. And we like to make sure, make sure y'all chill and show respect to the ones that were said before, because without them, there would be no us. You know what I'm saying?
Man, listen, let me tell you something. When we was coming out, we never dared disrespect anybody that came from us. You know why? Because that's what inspired us to do what we was doing. Mm-hmm. So we had a different way of thinking. U.M.C was a new way of being back then. We paid homage to everybody on our album. We paid homage to everybody that came prior to 91, only because of the fact that we understood that, and I think that came from the raising. I think that came from, forget about music, that just came from mama and papa telling us that, yo, you better recognize your grandfather, or you better recognize your great-great-grandmama who, set all of that up. So there was a different faction of morals that was already instilled. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like nowadays, it gets a little complicated because everybody thinking that they doing it on their own, and they forget that. Wait a minute, this would not have happened if Harriet Tubman didn't sit on that. You know what I mean? On that book. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
What are you talking about? We losing, the morals. We losing the fundamental way of thinking in regards to being put in place. We think we just did it on our own. We ain't do nothing on our own. We did what we had to do when we were in position, but in order for us to be in position, we had to have had a door open for us, correct?
That's correct, absolutely.
So you still pay homage to that all day long. And if you don't, then that's on you, because guess what? If you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you going. Period. And I don't care what you making. I don't care how you living. At the end of the day, your foundation is weak. You understand what I'm saying?
That is facts right there. And and like I said, like it kind of annoys me when I look at a lot of these newer artists out here, when you have these, we in the era now where everybody wants to say the shocking thing that's going to get them viral the next moment. Like you think recently about the whole situation with 21 Savage saying that, Nas ain't relevant in hip hop. Now, me, having some experience working with people that's been in the industry a lot longer than I have, I already recognized it for what it was. It was just a publicity stunt. And look what happened. They just put out a brand new.
Yeah, they got a record out right now.
You know what I'm saying? But, you got a lot of these newer up-and-coming artists that like to use that opportunity to be disrespectful, thinking that's going to further along their career. But, you got people like us. It's like, nah, bro, you're not having that. You're not going to come along and disrespect those who was here before us, because without them we wouldn't be here at all. You wouldn't be able to do the things you're doing right now. So show a little more gratitude and be respectful with when it comes down to it.
I'm gonna tell you the truth, B. At the end of the day, there's a lot of things that wouldn't have been happening, unless there was a bunch of civil rights leaders out there running around. Mm-hmm. There was a bunch of Harriet Tubman is doing what they had to do, you know what I mean, at that point in time. Even, you could go far back to more of the beginning in Egypt and Africa, you know what I mean? If we wasn't instilled with some of that within ourselves, we wouldn't have come up to become, the Nation of Islam, the Black Panthers, the ones who believed in, look, there's bigger and better for us. You understand what I'm saying? And we don't have to settle for none of this. Or Sammy Davis having to take trips, or what's the one that Jamie Foxx played?
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles, when he was banned. He was banned because he didn't want to succumb to what their rules were, right? And then later on, what was the song? Georgia. I'm back. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So don't ever disrespect who your predecessors were, who the people that came before you were. There's a reason why they did that, for you to live.
That's a strong message right there, man. And I hope that any young artist or anybody individually that's out there right now that think it's okay to disrespect predecessors, I hope they take that and they like, you know what? Them brothers is right, man. Like, we gotta be a little more respectful and, pay homage to those who came before us. Even though you don't like a person's body of work, that's cool, but understand that, they was there first and they made it possible for you to be able to be here, man, and all that good stuff.
You don't have to love nobody's body of work, but you got to respect the fact that what they put into the game was monumental, and it contributed to the fact that you was able to step further or get higher than what it was. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's all it is,
Absolutely.
I don't like everybody's body of work, but I respect the work they put in. That's
how
it.
It should be. That's how it should be. And speaking of body of work, man, we see that you have a whole catalog when it comes to a body of work, working with some of the titans in the game, most notably, you worked with Sadat X, Raekwon, Inspector Deck, Ghostface Killah, you got the credit for producing, Magic Stick, 50 Cent and Little Kim and all that good stuff, man. So, people can't look at your body of work and have nothing other than just the utmost respect for the people that you have worked with, man. So, like, with that being said, from the people that you work with now until working with some of the newer artists that's in the, industry now, like, the likes of Rhyme Wrecker, Catherine Swain, we had the opportunity to have her here on the show last week. Like, how has that transition worked for you, being that you come from a different era, cut from a different cloth compared to what we are seeing out here nowadays?
Well, they're a different breed too. Because it's not everybody at this point in time that are very acceptive or willing to deal with what I got to offer. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to find the ones that really, really gel with you. Like the Catherine Swain, she gel. You know why? Because she comes from that school. She's young, but that's the school that got her going, mentally and creative wise. That's what she loved. You know what I mean? Ron Wrecker, he comes from our school, and he's still relevant now. Then you got, you still got your Shahiems. Of course, the Wu Tang. I'm always going to be part of that whole squad because I was the first one from Staten Island. So, behind the scenes, I was always there for that. But then you got there's a whole bunch of different new talent that, when you try to tap in, they think they know it all. But I can't, how can I say? I can't combat what they feel or what they know. It'll be one or two of them that say, yeah, this is great. And then it'll be the others that be like, nah, I ain't effing with that because, we on a different wave. All right, but your wave, you forget where your wave come from. So how about gelling together and figuring out how we can mesh or get it, popping together? Because no matter what, at the end of the day, I'm still relevant. I still, there ain't no way I'm going to turn down Quincy Jones if he comes to me and say, yo, I want you to produce over here with me, and I got this and that and a third to input and throw your way. I would like to see what you got to say about it. You know what? I'm gonna be highly highly motivated and highly appreciative, and I am not going to turn that man down.
Word. You know, Quincy Jones come calling, man. I don't think anybody in their right mind would want to walk away from that opportunity, especially knowing.
Oh yes, they will. Oh yes, they will. Oh yes, they will. You get a 2022 drill rapper right now who don't even know who Quincy Jones is.
Good point. Good point to that one. You're right. You're right. You know,
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who's this old man talking about? Yo, let me just throw something in there for you and help you out and guide you this way. I know what you're doing, but you know, you could do it like this better. Nah, man, we ain't doing it like that. Dude, do you know who he is? So if they don't know who he is, they don't know who Michael Jackson is.
Right.
It be like that.
It's crazy to think about that too, man. And like, you know, what you see nowadays out here with a lot of the, you know, the newer artists that's coming up, you know, it comes back to a lot of them not really having a lot of guidance, and a lot of them, you know, not really being inept or willing to go back and research, you know, some of the people that came along. And I don't want to keep, you know, beating the dead horse when it comes to, like, you know, just having respect for those that come out. But do you see, like, you know, somewhere down the line that it could be a possibility where we can see a bridging of the gap between the newer generation of artists that's out here in hip hop now compared to, you know, some of the ones that paved the way already?
Yeah, but what happened is there's a Generation X, which I like to say that we were part of that generation. And then there's a Generation Y that skipped everything. And then now there's the Generation Z who's doing what they want to do, zigzagging and zigging. You understand what I'm saying? So zigzag ziggers, they don't know why. You understand what I'm saying? And X holds the key to the unknown. So, you know, that being said, you already know I'm God body. So it's just a whole matter of we skip time between generations. And they didn't get the tutelage. They didn't get the, you know, the guidance, because there was something that went on. There was a void that happened. So now they think they starting recreating something that's already been done. But the whole point is not to beat, you know, like you said, the dead horse. The whole point is to say, how do we mesh it? You know? And that comes from both sides, not just one side. It got to come from both sides. The older generation got to understand what the newer generation is about, especially in hip hop. You know what I mean? Because, you know, hip hop was stated and built on construction, on teaching, on uplifting. Nowadays, you know, and in this past 2-3 years, we had more hip hop deaths that I never seen these deaths like that in hip hop when I was coming up in the 90s. You know, it'll be one good one, another good one, another one, maybe 2 or 3 spread out. We're getting deaths every month, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. That's not good. So, you know, I don't know what to call it. I know that the powers that be, who's in charge, who's the upper echelons, you know, be it they're white, black, Jewish, I don't care what they are. But guess what? Somebody got to take charge and say, look, let's really, really gather together, pull it all together the right way, and see if we can even try. There's nobody even trying. There's nobody even trying right now to put it together the right way. And that's just my words. That's just who I am. That's how I see it. You know what I mean? You got too many billionaires, millionaires, this, that, and the third leading, in a leadership position, but not leading.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And, you know, the sad thing about it is, you know, I have this conversation so many times and so often, and a lot of people be like, yeah, hip hop back in the 90s and, you know, all that stuff, they glorified drug dealing, they glorified violence, and they glorified this, that, and the third. I'm like, okay, I hear you, and you're right. But at that time, I don't really see it as glorification. What it was, this is letting you know what was going on in these communities.
You know what was going on and where we're coming from, and what we're trying to do that's different.
Absolutely. And then nowadays, you fast forward here to 2022, like you said, almost every week now, it's like every time I look on, you know, YouTube, I'm seeing the video about another rapper getting murdered. I'm seeing more and more well-known rappers in this generation being taken out over some foolishness. And you're right, nobody is leading. Everybody, like, you know, with the way music is being consumed nowadays, it's like they just want more and more of that. It's like you even look at the comments to some of these videos and Instagram posts, and it's like you got people that haven't experienced any of that, you know, egging on the situation and you know, just causing more and more drama to unfold that these rappers are getting caught up in nowadays. Like you said, back in the 90s, you didn't see many rappers dying like that. The most notable that, you know, really died back in that time that a lot of people know about is Pac and Biggie, even though there was some that happened along the way, but it wasn't as frequent as you see it right now, you know?
No, by murders.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, by murders.
Right.
We didn't see murders like that. There was some deaths, but there was no murders like beef murdering. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
It was open, you know. It was, you know, a couple died, natural causes, or, you know, maybe some overdoses, or, you know, other situations, but not, oh, this crew is coming after this crew and they killing this dude, and he's the target all day long. You know what I'm saying? We didn't see it like that. But at the end of the day, man, you know, it's just a matter of who's going to take charge, who's going to take lead, or what music are we going to continue to put out. That's the thing.
I truly do agree. And I got to say shout out to, you know, Big Shot Radio, another affiliate that I'm associated with. They have a Silence the Violence movement that they're doing right now that I feel as though is pretty dope because of the fact, you know, so many of these young artists are getting killed left and right over, you know, nonsense when it really boils down to it. And, you know, I really do support their movement because, you know, it's time to take a stand. You know, us even also as platforms, even though we know our job is to get the music out there, especially if we feel as though it's hot, but we got to get back into that gatekeeper mode and putting out there what is right. You know what I'm saying? Not just putting it out there because this is the hot song right now of the month maybe, or because it's talking about a whole lot of, you know, over sexualized, you know, messages, or, you know, doing the bang bang shoot 'em up thing. No, we need to put music back out there once again that's going to be inspiring and uplifting. You know what I'm saying?
True talk. And you're not wrong about that at all. But like I said, and like you're saying now, it's the gatekeepers. You're a gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying? And by you putting out this conversation right now, you're stepping in the right direction. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we need to do. You know, everybody got so over-obsessed with the money and the fame and, you know, the glory of this whole thing, and not wondering or thinking about the moralistic point or parts of it. You know why? Because that's not exciting. But I remember when Tribe Called Quest came out, their whole album was exciting. I don't care, you know, what they was talking about. I didn't hear no violence in anything. I remember when Rakim came out, I didn't hear violence in his. BDP, yeah, they had violence, but they was talking criminal-minded in a way that you would understand that it takes a nation of millions to hold us back. That's when EPMD came. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so the way we articulated ourselves was way different. It might have sounded, oh, we got to stop them. But the stop was only because what they were saying was more positive. Just because of the title didn't mean they were negative. They're telling you that fight fire with fire. You understand what I'm saying? And that's where NWA came from. They were trying to tell you, yo, we know who's doing us dirty. We know who's doing us grimy. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't, let's go after them and really, you know, kill. Mm-hmm. It was like, we're the ones being slaughtered by them, so F them. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't say that. Because now you're going against the regime. Mm-hmm. So it was a whole different approach to, you know, what people would say is violence or not. It's just, yo, come on, man. Right now, we're talking about kill each other, period.
Yeah.
That ain't no good.
Definitely isn't, man. And you know, with that being said, you know, piggybacking off of your point you just made, I think when it really boils down to it, and maybe I may be wrong, and you can correct me if you would like to, but I think a lot of people in this generation, I think their interpretation of the message that was being put out in the music back then, I guess they interpreted it as it was being a glorification of violence, when basically they just, like we said earlier, you know, they letting you know what is going on in these communities. Like a lot of people, and I've heard the term said before, where, you know, hip hop was the newspaper for a lot of us, because like then we didn't have the internet, we didn't have social media, and we didn't have access to a lot of these other things. We didn't know what was going on in LA unless we was listening to NWA, unless we was listening to, you know, Dre and Snoop, or we was listening to Ice Cube and all that. We didn't know what was going on. So hip hop kind of provided that segue, or that kind of that look into these communities to let us know what was going on, and they just telling us what's happening in their neighborhood. Whereas nowadays, like you said, it's just, you know, murder, kill on a record, and that's not a good message to be putting out there. Right.
Well, at the end of the day, you know, the message has to be maybe transformed to a medium where they understand it better, or, you know, it's a hip hop is the learning tool, it's a teaching tool. That's what it always been, you know what I mean? But when you just get into your own way of being and you just dictate and decide how it's going to be, and there's no foreground, there's no foundation, there's no backbone on it, and you're just going to say what the hell you want to say, it turns into what it is. But that being said, there's a whole lot of hip hop out here that is really, really gracious, really, really dope, you know, and you know how they always say the truth shines through, you know, the cream rises to the top. Mm-hmm. You know, at one point it changes. This has always been an evolutionary process when it came to hip hop. Mm-hmm. Every so often the styles change, you know, the message might change, you know, the gear changes, the whole, you know, style of the look, the women's look, the attitude. I never saw so many women shake booty ever in my life. I mean, coming up, I never saw that ever in my life. But that's what it is all over the place. Wow. And it's in the name of hip hop.
You're right
so,
about that. What
are we going to do? We, you know, it's up to some of us to, you know, stay the course and do what we got to do. But like I said, I don't break down everybody's music and say it's wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that there's a change that has to come. And Sam Cooke said it best. So that's where we at right now. A change has to come. There's always an evolutionary process. That's it.
I agree, and I really do feel like we are getting ready to enter into that transitional process now, where, you know, that change is going to come. And just, you know, just you mentioning that, man, that made me just think back to, you know, the likes of, you know, MC Lyte, you know, Queen Latifah, and then even fast forward into now, you know, you got Rhapsody out there, you got Shay North from Buffalo, she's doing her thing as a, you know, a lady in the game right now, and even Lady Luck, you know, just I miss that kind of music where we not looking at, you know, these females being over sexualized, you know, to each his own. But, you know, I like it when you got the women out there that are, you know, bringing in the bars, bringing the artwork. Yeah, absolutely.
And they're not swayed by, you know, sidetracked by all that glitz, glamour, and I gotta show off this, show off that. I'm here to show off my lyrics. I want you to respect that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we got all of that around. So it's just a matter of let the time do its thing. Let evolution take its process, and in the meantime, in between time, let us do what we continue to do, and still big up the things that we know that are beneficial to the game.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't have put it better myself. And with that being said, speaking of evolution, the evolution of Fantom of the Beat, going from the 91 U.M.Cs till now, what is Fantom of the Beat working on right now? What can we expect from you going into 2023?
Well, Fantom of the Beat right now is the evolution of Haas G from U.M.Cs.
Okay.
And the records we put out for the last, I guess, I want to say 4 or 5 years was the building of it was the start of the building of the empire that going into 2023, we got movies and records, right? I mean, records and movies right now. Look at that. I went backwards. We got records and movies right now. We got soundtrack scores. We got artists around doing what they supposed to be doing. We've reached out, and other artists reached out to us just to be part of the situation that we moving with. Fantom Music is the label, and I think with the time and effort that we put in, by the time 2023 gets here, you'll see our core. How do you say, our core audience really develop. You'll see who our core artists are. You'll see where we spread our wings at. And it's just about becoming that new situation where, nobody can mess with me because we're in our own circle. We're in our own situation, our own bubble. And y'all keep doing what y'all doing, but over here, this is what we doing. And you're going to respect it. And we're going to be good because, we fortified.
Absolutely. Now, with that being said, having the experience of the music industry underneath your belt and also the music business, how do you feel nowadays about, more artists, electing to go the independent route, like actually doing it from, the strength of their own grind, not really relying too much on a machine to kind of back them with their music?
Well, it's evolution. We started out with TDK tapes. It jumped to CDs. Then it jumped to flash drives, emails, all of that. It's the same thing with the music. We started out as, you gotta remember, it started out with independence. And then majors took over the independents. Now, independents are tired of the majors. Now they're going back to independence. And guess what? Majors still have a foothold on the new independents because the majors still control the money.
That is true.
Unless you understand how to maneuver and make the money yourself. Then you become, what did they used to call it? You became a major independent. You know what I'm saying? These are terms. You became a major independent. Now you sit on the same pedestal as a major sits on, and no matter if they still got control, they still got to give you way more money than they would have gave you as an independent, because now you become their partner. You're not under them, you become their partner. So we're going into that transitional phase where we're doing it all independent, and guess what? You want to deal with me, you got to become my partner. You see what I'm saying?
Now,
that's that.
Now, do you feel as though that like helps the artist, or that, every situation is different?
Well, it helps the artist if the artist has business sense. I could become an independent partner with Arista, with Sony, with any of them, as long as you respect my business as a partner. And not that I work for you, or everything that I'm doing is for you. Everything that I'm doing is for us, because I got the clientele. I got the business savvy as well, but you're on a different level with me only because of your worth. So guess what? Help me out with your worth, sit to the side, and let me run the ship. You understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So there's a way to look at this where you can still be, everything can still be lucrative. It's just a matter of, I know who you are already. I don't need nothing from you. I don't need you to direct me. I don't need you to control me. What I do need, though, is because you own a whole lot of the distributions, you know what I mean? You got your hands in a whole lot of the publishing, you know what I mean? You're going to make me a partner, not I'm working for you or I'm here to be subservient to you. So, we got to learn how to rise up in the game, Their control is their control already. But if you want part or piece of that, you got to rise up and level up.
I
That's
definitely
it.
agree. And with that said, like, how would an artist go about creating that leverage for themselves so it's not where they're working for a label, they become partners with that label?
You got to basically do what you got to do on your own. Meaning, I don't care if it's, you got some investors you're going to have to pay back later on, but you got to build your own ship. You got to build your own ship, and you can't what's the word? I can't, what's the word? Rely.
Okay.
I can't rely on you. I have to do it all on my own until you see the crowd, until you see the world loving what we do. At that point, you know how corporate is. They're greedy. They want to be part of anything that's popping. That's what you got to do.
Man.
Once you do it, that's how every successful business that came from the underground started. Corporate saw that, this is a good place for us to. It was always a good place for us to put our 2 cents into or put our hands on. It always been that. They just had the money.
Right.
That's what it always been. That money was birthed. That money it came down the pipeline. They didn't have no ideas. Corporate America never had ideas. They stole ideas.
That's real talk right there. And like you mentioned that, and one of my favorite examples that I like to, relate back to is 50 Cent when it comes down to it. Because I remember, back when he got dropped from Columbia, and then he just went to the mixtape circuit, and he built up a buzz so crazy that
everybody back after him.
Yeah, they had to negotiate on his terms because he was
because
already
they
doing a
didn't
lot
believe
without
in him in the first place. They didn't believe in that in the first place. It was Martian to them. It was alien. It was alien to them. They didn't understand what he was trying to do until he did it. Now it's okay. Let's renegotiate. Let's talk. Yeah, we can talk, but now it's on my terms.
Absolutely. That's real talk right there. And I always tell artists out there, especially a lot of these artists that want to go, get a record deal, which is cool if that's what you want to do, if that's what your heart's desire is, and to see each his own. But I always tell people, follow that model if you really want to be truly successful in this music industry. Follow that model if you want to look at one to see how people became successful and was able to beat the odds and not become a slave to a deal, so to speak.
You don't got to become a slave to the deal. What you got to do is, you got to become a master to your art and who you are. Believe in yourself and let everybody else see how you move and what you can accomplish. And then that's when the higher up who has positioning steps to you. And then they say, guess what? I know we can't step to you on this. We gotta come this way, and then we could do business. But still, no, a snake is a snake.
Oh yeah, that's a fact.
You better be prepared to deal with it.
I agree. And with that being said, man, you know I asked you the question already about, 2023, and you answered that one already. But I always like to ask artists, before we get ready to wrap up the interview and all that good stuff, I always like to ask, like, when you finally decide you want to hang it up, like, what do you want to be able to look back at on your career and say you was able to accomplish?
I just had that conversation probably the other day. I said, you know what? I'm tired of this. I keep getting the wrong people coming around. I'm not happy with the movement, but I am content with a lot of the work that I've done. I'm just not happy with the success or the drive or maybe even the people around me. But at the end of the day, my heart don't allow me to quit. So there's no quitting. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's no quitting, because that time you decide to quit could have been 5 minutes away before, when all the work and all the ethic you put in starts to pay off.
That brings me back to the story of the man that was digging for gold and got so frustrated at the fact that they wasn't finding the gold like they would want to. They gave up their spot. Somebody came along and it was like just 3 feet away from them continuing to dig. So I definitely understand that one, man. Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So with that said, my brother, I definitely want to say thank you, for taking the time out to, drop by here on the show, spend some time with us, man, and tell us your story, share your experience with us, and I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as well. But before we get ready to let you go, man, for anybody out there that's looking to, reach out to you, looking to connect and looking to follow you and listen to your music, how can they make that possible?
I want to say thank you, sir, because your platform is definitely needed. The conversation that we just had, it took me outside of just being a music producer. It took me outside of being Haas G, pioneer for U.M.Cs, or Fantom of The Beat. So my hat is off to you as well.
Thank you.
And your platform. But anybody checking, anybody looking, if my narrative didn't throw you off, you know what I mean, made you feel away, you could catch me at Fantom of The Beat with an F, FANTOMOFTHEBEAT on Instagram, on Facebook. You can catch me at Phantom Music on Instagram. The whole thing is, if you don't even see that, you gotta you can hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
If you don't even see that, you Google Haas G and Google UMCs. You know what I mean? My whole EPK, discography, all of that is out there. But make sure you spell Phantom with an F, FANTOM, and we'll be good. You know what I mean? And I'm very, very open. If I'm not open, my crew, my team, they open. They'll see what's going on, and we'll keep it moving from there.
Absolutely, man. And we look forward to having you back on the show, man, whenever you feel like you want to come back, man, and chop it up some more, and share music with us here on this platform, man. My doors is always open for you, man. So definitely we want to say thank you once again. And for everybody else out there that's tuned in and listening right now, keep it locked right here to the show. We about to get into some Fantom of The Beat records up next here. So keep it locked. It's your boy EMillio EgBar, and we'll be back with much more right after this.
My G.
Want to be heard on the Non-Stop Radio Show? Send us your submissions in MP3 format at Let's Network Musically 212@gmail.com.
This is Non-Stop